for office, it's gonna use lingo. So, a couple people I want to recognize first is our leadership class for the chamber for this year, 2025. If you would, please stand. If you would. Next, Stephen Durham sitting way over there in the corner for the setup and everything today.
Yes.
Looks like the queen in their court here set up. Kind of like that, so it's not bad at all. So, but one of the important things that our chamber does is, especially through our public policy council, is kind of monitoring and watching what's going on in the state legislature. Our big thing is to be an advocate for pro-business legislation, anything that's coming through. Tommy Pruitt, who could be here today, is our chairman of that group, leading us this year. Last week, our board chamber and the public policy council had an opportunity to show a little appreciation to our delegates and have them in town and basically host them for a dinner. So without further ado, we're going to have April Bragg come up with our group today. We have Senator John Kennedy, Senator Larry Walker, and Representatives Robert Dickey, Noah Williams, Sean Blackman, Bethany Ballard, and Anissa
Well, good morning, everybody. Can y'all hear me? Is this on? No? There it is. Can y'all hear me now? Can you hear me now? No? All right, if I could get a little volume in the back, otherwise I'm going to use my theater voice. But welcome to the Last Supper. I jest. Thank you, Justin Wright, for that.
Just getting betrayed.
That joke. Is this working or no? A little bit? Okay. All right, I'm just going to project. So thank you guys so much for being here. This is always one of my favorite opportunities to host our legislators, to really give you guys a little bit of inside baseball on the session. We've got a new member of our delegation joining us today, and so I'm going to just start off with asking you guys for some general input on the session. We'll get into details on a lot of legislation later, and actually, Dr. Jones, Representative Jones, we will start with you as a freshman. Tell us a little bit about your experience under the Gold Dome.
It was amazing. I know we hear this all the time when you say, you know, somebody's built for something. I was definitely built for this. I have the opportunity to get to know wonderful folks on both sides of the aisle, get some good measurable work done as a collective, and really do what I set out to do my first year, and that was to look and listen and learn. Sometimes when you're new to something, you're so eager to get out there and just really get your hands dirty, but until you really understand the terrain that you're working in, it's a bit preemptive to think that you're going to get a whole lot done when you don't know what's going on. So that's what I did. I made friends. I looked at what was going on. I listened to those that had been there all of that time, and I learned from them, and I made a lot of good relationships my first year out. It wasn't easy every day. Some days were more emotional than others, but we made it, and we were so excited about the work that we did for not only the state of Georgia, but for all of the folks here in Middle Georgia. And I get the opportunity to represent not only Warner Robins, but Macon, and to be able to come back home and do some good work for folks here was really exciting for me. I had a lot of good support of all the ones that are sitting up here with me. If I asked a question, they answered it. If I needed something, they didn't hesitate. So I was very excited about that, and so thank you again.
Awesome, very good. I'm gonna ask you a quick follow-up, and then we'll lightning round around the room, but 2 questions. How long did it take you to find where your office is and the ladies' room? Because those are hidden in Capitol. If you know, you know.
That is too funny. The better question, April, is how long did it take for me to get an office?
Oh, there you go. Yes, yes. So we'll take that answer.
So I was homeless for maybe about 2 weeks, and it was okay. And again, that's where the relationships come in, where folks will say, listen, you can use my office until. If you need a place to rest, you can come and hang out here until. And so I had a lot of support in that regards. And then, you know, the restroom is funny. Because I had already been really close to the Capitol before, I was up there a lot, I engaged a lot with legislators before I was elected. I already knew what the restroom was on the second floor for ladies, so I visited that one frequently until it was time for us to start using the one in the anteroom. So thank you for that question.
The Dakota room, yes. All right, so give us just an overview of the session. How was the experience this year? I know it was a little more active, perhaps, than some of us anticipated it being, so let's get some general thoughts.
I'll kick it off, if that's okay.
Please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to be with you this morning. I always enjoy this and appreciate the opportunity that the Robbins Regional Chamber puts together for us to be with you. And I want to thank the sponsors. Without them, of course, this would not be possible, so thank you very much. This was my 10th session, and every session is different and unique. But there's been one consistent theme throughout all 10 sessions, and this session was no different, and that is the Senate continues to lead at the state capitol. So we had a great session.
The first one's to leave.
To leave. Through the Senate leadership, we had a very productive session and accomplished a lot of great things that I look forward to talking with you about. But the Senate Majority Caucus, of which I'm the secretary of, we work in the interim, and for every biennium, we come up with our priorities. We collectively come up with priorities, and this year's theme, the theme for this biennium is Senate Secure. And the secure part is to secure your physical health, your financial health, and your religious health. And so we passed some legislation surrounding that theme. We had a big focus on school safety. We had a big focus on restoring people back to normal after Hurricane Helene and measures surrounding that. On the financial health front, we passed some great occupational licensing reform that's going to be very meaningful and allow people to get in the workplace faster. Senator Kennedy will talk, I know, about the major lift he spearheaded on tort reform to make our business climate better in Georgia and sustainable in Georgia. And then on the religious and our faith front, securing your ability to practice your faith, we passed the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. So we worked closely with our House colleagues, obviously, passed a great budget. We do have a wonderful delegation to work with. I was, of course, teasing on the front end, but love working with these guys, the gals, and love representing you all. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, he didn't leave y'all much to talk about, but any other highlights that y'all got and want to share?
That's typical of the Senate, you know, there. I'm just proud that Jack Lester last week, we were at Chamber event, and he welcomed the House members and thanked the representatives for being there. But I'm going to thank the senators for being here because Jack failed to do that last week. I'm just so happy we have our two senators here with us today, and we don't know how long they're going to be with us, but we're certainly proud they're sitting here with us.
Oh my goodness, anybody else want to chime in before we actually ask questions?
We going down the line? No, I just briefly, April, I'm glad we got some funny people up here. My wife tells me I'm not funny, so don't try to be funny. So I just want to thank everybody. It's so good to see a lot of old friends here and familiar faces, and then meet some new friends, and just appreciate the crowd that we have here this morning. You all have really done a great job over the years building up this program, and I see about every industry and facet of our community and our military leaders from Robbins Air Force Base. Thank you for what you do for us each and every day, protecting our freedoms. And my predecessor, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge we have a legacy of leadership in Houston County, and pretty humbling to sit here before Larry O'Neill, the former majority leader and now judge. So good to see you and Kathy here this morning. Look forward to the questions.
Yeah, very good. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump in. I know Senator Walker mentioned tort reform. I know that's what we talked about the most during this session. So, Senator Kennedy, I'm going to turn to you. I know you did a tremendous amount of work, not only this session, but for many years leading up to this. Tell us a little bit about your efforts under the Gold Dome this year and what made this year different.
Sure. April, thank you. Good morning. It's great to be with y'all, and thanks for the sponsors, thanks to the Chamber. And as you see the camaraderie up here, it's like that for us at the Capitol. Our delegation really does a good job of coming together, I think, and representing Middle Georgia, Houston County. And these guys and ladies are a lot of fun to work with. That makes the job a lot easier. So thank y'all for being supportive to us and also being so good to tell us what's on your mind and what the priorities are. One of the things that I worked on this year that really consumed most of my time at the Capitol, and I would suspect a chamber crowd knows what tort reform is, but if you don't, it is simply the problem that we had and have in our civil justice system of things being out of balance. Nuclear verdicts, problems of premises liability, concerns that businesses, just because they open their doors every day, because you are a landowner, you're concerned about some liability getting visited upon you where you lose your business, or you may lose something, may be a generational asset that your family's had for a long time, because our rules for lawsuits are, quite frankly, have been imbalanced. You know, we are real proud and quick to say that Georgia's 11 years running as the #1 state in which to do business. But folks, there's another metric, and that is this year was the second year we were #1 on the quote judicial hellhole list. I didn't make that up. A national publication made that up. And those two can't exist at the same time. We can't, can we? We can't continue to be #1 for business, but be a place where businesses and property owners cannot get a fair shake at the courthouse. So this is something, April, as you alluded to, something I've been working on for most of my 11 years. And I used to joke I've got all these scar tissues up in my hairline of filing tort reform bills, and they failed because we couldn't get them out of our Senate. We couldn't actually get them out of the Senate caucus, even though it's a Republican caucus, because we have some close numbers, and we've got 3 plaintiffs' lawyers who are Republicans who, quite frankly, blocked it most every year. And so we've had that problem. So what was different about this year? Well, a couple of things. One, Governor Kemp recognized this as an issue that was critical and a true existential threat to Georgia's business and our business environment, and said, we're going to do something about this. So he started working on this really in late 23 and 24. There was a bill that I carried for him in 24. House Bill 1114 was the tort data collection bill, which was to get a bunch of information from insurance companies to try to explain why are insurance premiums continuing to rise. And as you might expect, yeah, there's a pretty direct correlation between insurance premiums and what's going on at the courthouse and big verdicts. Fast forward, he said, we're going to get involved in this. We're going to make sure that we correct this. And in his State of the State address said, this is my #1 priority for me as governor in 2025. So we drafted 2 bills, House Bill 68 and 69, in conjunction with his office. I carried both of those bills, got them out of the Senate. One bill basically makes some tweaks and adjustments to the rules of the road when folks go to court. The short version is, I would tell you, if you're a defendant or you're a business being sued, it's going to be more fair for you going forward because the rules were very heavily tilted in favor of the plaintiff. But it's still in favor, it's still fair, and it's still balanced for the folks that need to go to court and get compensated. Because if you've been injured, you need to be fairly and fully compensated, but not overcompensated. So those were the 2 bills. It was a very different year. It was an absolute knife fight, and we knew it was going to be a knife fight because the plaintiff's bar is politically very powerful in the state of Georgia and has a significant presence at our Capitol. But I want to tell you, for the folks that are up here and many others that came together, we were able to get it passed it in the Senate, went over to the House. You guys probably know they have 180 members, so the magic number is 91 votes to pass a bill. Senate Bill 68 passed with 91 votes. That's how close this was.
Yeah.
And maybe in a minute, I'll talk a little bit about needing your help to make sure that the job is not done. We've got more work that can be done, but we've got to maintain the ground that we obtained in trying to rebalance our civil justice system this year.
Yep, very good. And I know we'll talk about the future a little bit, but Representative Williams, when we talk about impacts and thinking about insurance and things like that, what is the ripple effect of something like this?
Well, it's funny you say that. We have a study committee this summer that the House is sponsoring. And that is one of the main keys in the insurance committee. We're gonna look at, how do we reduce costs? How do we reduce liability? How do we reduce even health insurance premiums? I'm not so sure we're gonna reduce them, but hopefully we can cap them and keep them from increasing like they have. So that's gonna be key, and I really look forward. I was called this morning and said, hey, you're on this committee, not, hey, do you wanna be on this committee? But hey, you're on this committee, so I anxiously look forward to working on that this summer and making some progress with that.
Very good. And if y'all need a place to meet in Warner Robins or in Middle Georgia, we'd love to host you at the chamber. And Senator Kenny, I want to stay with you and talk about the future and impact and implementation and implications of this legislation. And I also want to draw your attention, audience, to the cards on your table. You may think you're at the wrong event because it says Small Business Outlook. That's an opportunity for you to register for what I consider the two of a 1-2 punch of today and next week with our Small Business Outlook. The men and women on this stage worked tirelessly to pass pro-business legislation that's going to make it easier to do business in the state of Georgia, to help our region in a number of different ways, taking care of both the businesses and the people that represent them. But we've got state and local experts coming in next Tuesday to help us talk about the implication, implementation, and expectations of the legislation that was passed, how that's going to affect us, as well as dealing with some of the changes we're seeing on the federal landscape. So if you're not registered, that QR code will take you to registration. And all of those in the room that do business with small business, you yourself might not be a small business, invite them, host a table. This is critical information for small business. So I want to throw that plug in and then turn to you. What does this look like? I know it's not a light switch. It wasn't a light switch getting here. So what are those future implications and next steps?
That's a great way to put it, and we should manage our expectations. We're not gonna fix this overnight, but what's gonna happen is you're gonna see, I think, a rebalancing of the markets. Part of the problem that we've had is insurance companies have left the Georgia market. Of course, we've all seen our premiums increase. It's to the point that, folks, when you get your premium notice, you're scared to open that envelope to see how bad it's going to be this year. That's particularly been visited on businesses with your commercial liability rates. And so it's going to take a little while to rebalance. But one of the arguments that was made by the other side is, this is just a giveaway to the insurance companies. No, it's not that at all. I mean, if you think about it, ultimately insurance is really a pass-through, right? They take the money that we pay in premiums and they pay out the responsibilities and the liabilities. So if those payments continue to go up, of course, what's going to happen to our premiums? It has to go up. So I would urge you to look at, for example, what happened in Florida. About 2.5 to 3 years ago, they passed significant tort reform. And now we see this year, 2.5 years forward, they see for the first time the 3 largest automobile insurance carriers have all filed for rate reductions. Homeowners insurance premiums going down. They've seen significant insurance companies re-enter the Florida market. All of that does what? We all understand, we're business people, we understand the basic economics of how that works. So those same pressures will come back to Georgia and will rebalance the market. Like you said, April, it's not going to be overnight, but the objective really is to stabilize the market, and if so, with a good, thriving business environment that I would tell you conservative political leadership in Georgia continues to maintain, things are going to work out. However, politically, there's going to still be efforts by the plaintiffs' bar to undo what we accomplished this year. It may not be in a big omnibus bill. I would tell you it's probably going to be in small ways to nibble at and try to change the rules of civil procedure, to do things to try to enable larger verdicts. They're going to continue to do that. So for those of you in the business community that came to the Capitol on the day that I dropped those bills when the governor held a press conference, the old guard at the Capitol will tell you there were more people at the Capitol that day than any time they have seen before. I say that to say this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was y'all getting involved, calling your legislators, going to the Capitol, talking to people saying, we cannot continue like this any longer. We've got to have change in the right direction. Our legislators and our colleagues that were squishy on this issue and traditionally have been no's, they got a little religion when they saw all the folks coming to the Capitol. And they realized they were now on the wrong side of this, because from a public consumption standpoint, the way the governor's office, and I think all of us at the legislature, tried to educate and bring together, folks started to understand, wait a minute, there's a connection between these huge nuclear verdicts and what I pay in insurance premiums. So maybe we need to rebalance. So let's celebrate the hard work and the victory we have, but the job is not done. You're gonna have to continue to send folks to the Capitol that understand that we need fairness in the civil justice system, and we're gonna have to remain vigilant.
Very good. Speaking of other things that have required a lot of incremental change are our military legislation. And I know Representative Ballard, as well as your predecessor and others, have worked tirelessly on this effort. We did see some movement this year, and I want to give you an opportunity to talk about that.
So I was a co-sponsor, one of the co-sponsors of House Bill 266, which would move our military retirement benefit exemption down the field a little bit, like up that. It would be $65,000. Still waiting on the governor to make a ruling on that. I'm very hopeful because, you know, I discovered this year when I started talking to my colleagues about military retirement exemptions, everybody in that chamber who is not from a military district thought they think of retirees of people in their late 60s, 70s, 80s. And I realized I had a lot of education to do when I told them a military retiree could be 38 or 45, and how many working years they had left in Georgia, and how we want to keep those really hard workers here in Georgia to benefit our businesses. But you should have seen the light bulbs come on, especially in our metro legislators who they don't have any bases. They don't know anybody in the military. They don't know anybody who's ever been in the military unless it's a grandfather. So to see those light bulbs come on and for them to realize what a military retiree is, I think that did a lot of good. I think they just had not had it said to them in that way before, perhaps.
Yeah.
So we're ever hopeful.
Very good. Well, down at the end, I can't even see you, Chairman Dickey, but I'm going to tell you, we are thankful that even with redistricting, we were able to keep you in Warner Robins and as an honorary member of our Houston County delegation. But you know, when we think about things that impact us here at home, Senator Walker mentioned Hurricane Helene. I know you were, that's an effort that you championed, as well as other things involving agriculture in the state. So I want to give you an opportunity to talk about a little bit of that now.
Well, thank you, April, and thank you for being here, for inviting me here. And we did have a great session this year, and Senator Kennedy, I can't say enough about his work with that. And I just hope the Chamber continues to engage with this issue. I hope these bills do what we think they will do. But it's an ongoing battle to make Georgia a great place to do business, and this is just a part of it. So, but it was a great session. I left there very enthused and very optimistic and excited about what we did. Sometimes I leave Atlanta in late March, early April, and pretty frustrated about what we didn't get done. But we had a real plate full this year of some great legislation. But as April said, we got some real challenges in our state, and it's our rural economies, it's our ag economy right now is facing a lot of headwinds. And this hurricane that came last fall just really devastated some communities, and especially our agriculture and timber industries. And I'm just really proud of our delegation and the whole House and Senate and Governor for stepping up and trying to help those industries and communities get back on their feet. They're still struggling. You can still drive through that area and see blue tarps on houses, and timber still on the ground destroyed, and crops not going in the fields because the farmers don't have the capital and the markets to think they can make a profit. So we, as chairman of the House Agriculture and Consumer Affairs, committee, we really put a lot of, effort in some of our surplus budget money, into some low interest loans for our farmers and timber growers and some tax, advantages going back so they can get that timber cleared off their land and replanted. It's a generational asset loss many of those farmers lost down there, and timber growers. It just, it'll take 30 years, 20 years to get those trees back growing, and those communities are so dependent on agriculture and timber industry and just really lacking a lot of other diversified industry that Middle Georgia has with our military and manufacturing here. And so just really worked hard on some of those issues, and I'm hopeful that they'll get back on their feet soon. And we got a lot of great things going on ag. Right down the road, our Agri Center, Perry, is we got a ribbon groundbreaking next week on the Larry Walker, not this Larry Walker, but the Larry Walker sheep and swine building. It's expanding. Our young people in our state are showing more animals. That facility is an economic engine. If y'all don't, I think most of you in this building know that, but that center is year round. It's not just fair time. It is something going on there every single week. Got a new hotel going up on the facility, and so really excited about the things there and the investment the state has put in that facility and ongoing economic activity that goes there. So a lot of ag education. I'm going on too long, but I see our Mark Scott there. I think we got the premier ag education department in our state with our FFA, 4-H, and CTAE things going on in our state. And education continues to be one of the largest investments our state do every year, 40 and 45% of our budget. And I'm so proud we've got a great school system here in Houston County. It's one of the best in the state. So,
awesome. Well, since you brought up the Agri Center, we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna get to the budget. But talking to this Larry Walker,
Yep.
since it's not that Larry Walker, let's talk through first about your efforts surrounding and piggybacking on agriculture. We just had the groundbreaking for Grand Farms last week, which was so cool, but I don't think most people in this room have any idea the future implications of bringing something like that project to Houston County. So let's start there and give us a little bit of insight on how you were able to help champion that effort.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, we had the groundbreaking last week. Chairman Dickey was with us for the UGA Grand Farm, which is across the street on the east side of the Ag Center property. And it's a smart farm, essentially, where innovative precision ag, integrated innovative precision ag, and all the latest technology surrounding ag can be demonstrated and tested and proven and showcased. And we had people at the groundbreaking from Brazil, Japan, Iowa, California, just all over the country and the world, and there's a lot of excitement surrounding that. They had a robotic, solar-powered robotic machine that would hoe a field. It can, using AI and optics, it can identify weeds versus the plant and actually hoe the field for Roundup resistant plants and pigweed, for example. They had a drone. They had a sprayer that also can identify weeds and only spray the weeds and not waste herbicide when not just spray the whole field, just actually pinpoint spray the weeds. They had autonomous tractors, but there's monitors that can go at the root of the plant that will communicate with the irrigation system to conserve water and to maximize the yield of the plant by putting the exact right amount at the exact right time of water on that plant. There's a lot of course, development with seeds, and I mean, it's just unbelievable. I'm super excited about it, and I think it's going to be an economic driver in synergy with the Ag Center and Fairgrounds. And the thing I guess I'm most excited about is our young people, the FFA, 4-H, and those Skills USA and those groups showcase their projects at the Ag Center and compete at the Ag Center. Well, they'll be able to also go over to the Grand Farm and see what is the new things going on in agriculture and all the career opportunities in agriculture. And ag is not just plows and sows, it's technology. And that's gonna allow our farmers to be more efficient. If we're on the cutting edge of ag, farming is tough. The economy for farming is about as bad as it's probably been in a long time. And we've got as a state, it's our #1 industry, to support agriculture, allow our farmers to be efficient, to be able to compete in the world and survive. So I'm very excited about it. Thank you.
And it was truly sobering to hear Commissioner Harper talk about how we are currently at a point in the United States where we import more than 50% of the food that we need. And so doing smarter things, we're not getting more land, right? And so utilizing technology and precision agriculture is the way of the future, and getting those kids excited about it was truly inspirational. So the one mandated activity that our legislature has to do annually is the budget. And of course, we've got the chairman of Ways and Means here to give us some budget highlights, if you will, and talk about the impact that those will have on our state and our business community.
Well, it's because of you. It's because of our business community. I mean, we've been the #1 state which to do business now for what, 11 years, I think,
Yep.
Running. And you can see the subject matter experts that we have at the table up here, and what they bring. You know, they let me run the meetings, but Chairman Dickey with Agriculture, Insurance here to my right, President Pro Tem on the legal front, Education. I hope you'll get a chance to talk about that.
Yes.
And Senator Walker has a plethora of knowledge on agriculture and insurance and licensure. And I think Dr. Jones, I know you'll probably talk a little bit more here, but it's been a real pleasure working with you in your first session. And she's a medical doctor too, so brings a lot of expertise beyond what she knows about our community. I think the fact that our fiscal position, again, y'all are responsible for that. We've got all of our critical needs funded. We've got a surplus of over $10 billion. We've got a full rainy day fund. Our AAA bond rating is right there at the top. The last 2 years, we haven't even had to bond. We've paid cash for our bond packages. And we've returned over $8 billion to taxpayers through property tax rebates and refunds, through income tax rebates and refunds, through a reduction in our income taxes, through the gas tax that we've exempted. And I think
You can clap for any of that.
I get to talk about it, but I'm certainly not here to take credit for it. So I think lowering that state income tax year over year, when we came in, most of us, the rate was 6%, and the standard deduction was below 5,000. It's 12,000 now, and the rate is marching very close to 5%. So giving that money back to hardworking Georgians, helping our small businesses, and we want to continue to do that, April.
Yeah.
Did I answer
Yeah.
the question? I think another thing to mention is in the middle of all that going on fiscally, we now have the highest paid teachers in the Southeast and some of the highest in the nation. Also giving raises to public safety, our law enforcement officials at the state level. So.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for all you do. So we're going to get back to you, Representative Ballard. I know there were 2 key pieces of legislation that the governor has already signed related to literacy and education, which of course are your big passion. So if you will share with us a little bit about both of those.
Okay. On the Education Committee, we have 3 things that we focus on: literacy, school safety, and good policy for our students and teachers. So I carry 2 pieces of legislation this year that have to do with that. We've continued our literacy efforts, because if we don't have quality public schools in Georgia, if we are not teaching our children to read and read well, we will not remain the greatest state to do business. These 2 are inextricably linked. We have to have a literate populace. So we've worked with our with literacy some more. This new bill, House Bill 307, it adds dyslexia to the Early Literacy Act. We're going to do a better job of identifying our children who have dyslexia. It's measured. It's estimated that 1 in 5 children have dyslexia or characteristics of dyslexia, we are going to do a better job at identifying them and a better job at getting them where they need to be. So we're really excited about that, but it also creates a literacy coach coordinator. Because we are rolling out a new curriculum for our literacy instruction, and it's really not new curriculum. If you are over 50 years old, we are just returning back to the way that we taught children to read for hundreds of years. I know, amen. Because our younger teachers did not learn that way, they are going to have to learn to teach our children. So we have created a literacy coach coordinator. We asked, the education committee asked for $18 million in the budget, and $10 million of that was new just for literacy, and it's going to go through the governor's office of student achievement to make sure we have these literacy coaches to teach our teachers how to effectively teach reading. So that was already signed. Some of the older, more seasoned members in the legislature have told me that they have really never seen both houses, House and Senate, both parties, the speaker, the governor, and the lieutenant governor be behind an issue like they have been behind literacy. So it's wonderful to see that. Also House Bill 81, which will we entered a interstate compact for school psychologists, and our school district has told me it is so hard to hire school psychologists. It's one of the most difficult things they have to do. If you're licensed in one state in the compact, you're licensed in every state. So it eases up on those duplicative licensure requirements. It's going to help us with hiring. But school psychologists not only keep an eye on the mental health of our students and put another set of eyes on our kiddos, they also help assess students for dyslexia and special ed so that our students who are in need can get services, get assessed and get services much more quickly. So we are really excited about that, but we also did, and I didn't write this down for April to ask about, we passed a great piece of school safety legislation, money in the budget for that. We have to keep our kids safe. We looked at that tragedy at Appalachia High School that happened last year, and we really looked at it in a different way that said, what could we have done that would have prevented this? And we did those things in the legislation. So our kids are going to be safe, they're going to learn to read, it's going to be great.
Yeah, awesome. Before we lose our senators, I do want to ask each of them a question. See, I can get in on it too. So, in order, I'm getting good. In order to keep our kids safe and literate and all of these wonderful things, they have to show up for school. And I know, Senator Kennedy, that's something, chronic absenteeism is something that you did. I have to talk this way to my microphone, but I'm looking at you. Oh, there we go. So I know it's something you did extensive work on this session, so can you share a little bit about those efforts?
Yeah, well, thank you, April. So we have a chronic absenteeism problem in Georgia. I didn't know about it, and as I talked to folks, most folks don't realize that we have that problem, and the only way I knew about it, and I was traveling in another state, picked up a newspaper about their problem, and as I read it on the way home, I came back and I asked my folks, I said, hey, do we have a problem in Georgia? And as it turns out, we do. Pre-COVID, our absenteeism, chronic absenteeism rate was about 9.5%. Now, chronic absenteeism is defined as missing 10% or more of your days in public school, so that's 18 days or more. Well, as you would have expected, the numbers spiked during COVID. They got as high as 26%. The problem is they've come down, but they're still at about 21.5 or 22%. And so very consistent with what Representative Ballard has done on the literacy front. If they're not in the seats, they can't learn to read. They can't learn to read and be literate. They're not going to graduate. If they don't graduate, they're not going to be successful and get the American dream, the Georgia dream we want for them. So our office worked on this in the off season, and I filed Senate Bill 123. And what it does, it shines a light on the problem. It reinvigorates a model that was created actually in 2005 for school climate committees, which is there to deal with some other issues. So we put absenteeism under that. I would tell you, as I did when I presented this to both my chamber and the House, this is not a silver bullet, because I don't think this is something we're gonna fix with one bill. It's not gonna get fixed in a 12-month cycle. So I've got a study committee also, and the House has a study committee as well, to continue to talk about and try to learn what are the problems and the drivers behind why we have such a high absenteeism rate in the state of Georgia. There's only one county, and it's in southeast Georgia, that is below 10% absenteeism rate. So we've got a real problem, and we need to do something about it. The other thing about the bill, I'll say real quickly, is, and I think this comes from a conservative philosophy as well, is the solutions will be found at the local level of how to A, identify why the problem exists there, and B, how to fix it. My approach was, and our approach as legislators, was not to have an Atlanta solution and push it down for the rest of the state, because that may not fix what the problem is. The reason we've got absenteeism in Bibb County may not be the same as Albany, or may not be the same as Raven County. So we're gonna continue to work on this. And again, I think a lot of it begins with realizing we have a problem, and that our children are not going to be able to achieve and succeed if we don't get them in school.
Yeah, very good, thank you. So Senator Walker, Representative Ballard mentioned the interstate compact regarding school psychologists. I know professional licensure as a whole is something that you have worked on for a number of years. Can you give us an update on that, as well as the bills that were passed this session and the work remaining?
Sure. I'm a small business owner, and I get frustrated with government bureaucracy, whether it's at the local, state, or federal level. I know many of you probably feel the same way. And as a legislator, one of the number one constituent issues that I deal with, and complaints I hear from constituents, is problems with their occupational licensing. At the same time, we know that we are a growing economy, and that there is a workforce shortage in many industries, and trying to hire good people is difficult. And yet we've got this onerous professional licensing system that is very unfriendly to business and hard to navigate and unfair to our citizens. Couple that with the Georgia Supreme Court ruling, Jackson versus Raffensperger, that established that the Georgia Constitution says that unless it is protecting individuals' health or welfare, that licensing by the state is unconstitutional in Georgia. So that, you got that overlaying that. Then you have Lieutenant Governor Jones being elected to Lieutenant Governor. He served with us in the Senate. He's a business owner himself. One of his priorities is the red tape rollback. So all that kind of came together. I had already been working on occupational licensing, kind of on one-off things, doing interstate compacts, which are very important, and I was fortunate to be able to carry Representative Ballard's school psychologist bill in the Senate. Thank you for that. But I've done one on marriage and family counselors and some other interstate compact work, which gives portability to the licensure. It's a national standard, and if the state enters into that compact, then you have portability. And of course, in our district, we have a lot of people moving in from other states, so that's very important to my constituents. I've worked with Colonel Patricia Ross and others to streamline people leaving our military that were corpsmen or medics, streamline their ability to go immediately into the workforce in our healthcare sector. So that's a one-off idea that I thought was really good. But so I raised kind of the profile of this issue by doing some of those one-off things, and it caught the Lieutenant Governor's attention and the Speaker's attention and others in the House and the Senate, and we formed, the Lieutenant Governor and Speaker formed a joint House and Senate Blue Ribbon Commission to look at this issue, and we traveled all over the state and met and talked to different industries about that. And this session we had a package of bills, and they will be signed. I'll be at the Capitol tomorrow. The governor's going to sign that package of bills that is really going to move the needle on our occupational licensing system. It basically kind of flips the script, so if the applicant provides all the necessary requirements, checks all the boxes, so to speak. The staff at the Professional Occupational Licensing Office in Macon can immediately approve that license if all the criteria is met and issue the license. The boards, and we have 42 licenses managed by that office, and then we have others in other departments. But anyway, currently, the way it was, the boards would have to meet, and some of them only meet quarterly, and they would go through every application and talk about it and decide, oh, they're missing this or missing that, or we will approve it. Now, it's gonna be much more streamlined. We also provided financial resources to that office, and they've hired a former Amazon employee that is managing that and bringing modern practices to that and technology, and I think we're gonna see a real big difference, and I'm excited to be a part of that.
Very good. That's very exciting and addressing a critical issue for business. So we've got about 5 minutes left, and I have probably 8 topics left on my card. So I'm going to throw it to you guys to what are the burning issues that y'all don't want to walk out of this room before talking about. And I'm going to just let y'all have at it. Yes. That sounds great.
Well, it's the subject that puts everybody to sleep, taxes, right? I think one of the things that it's a second year of a biennial type thing, but it builds upon one of the biggest, I think, issues that we've been hearing about in the last couple of years, and that's property tax. And so, in addition to the floating homestead exemption that I know many of our counties and cities have adopted, and we hope to see that for our homeowners moving forward. This is a senior exemption, so what it would allow is our seniors, if they wanted to go back and volunteer for our school system or for our counties or for our cities, that they could work off up to $500 off of their property taxes. And I think affordable home ownership is kind of the bottom line here, and what we're trying to do is not only create that generational wealth for first-time homeowners, but at the same time keep seniors in their homes. And I think some of the property tax adjustments that we've seen in assessments have caused some to rethink whether they're able to keep their home, and that's an important part of, I think, the American dream. We want to keep that moving here in Georgia. But again, another win for individuals here in Georgia, and win for Georgians.
Absolutely.
I would like to piggyback
Yeah.
on that. I told you that I really didn't go in trying to do too much, but I did put a little bill, this House Bill 292, and it's sitting in Ways and Means right now with a fiscal report due. And what it really is about is trying to help small businesses. As a small business owner myself, I know that it's been tough since COVID, trying to get good folks in your office, in my part, or in your business to work. And most people want high wages and don't want to do a whole lot of work. It's just what we're dealing with right now. But what I wanted to do for small businesses is give you a bit of a tax relief if you're able to bring in good talent and be able to pay them well for that talent. So the nuts and bolts of it is really to, if you're able to get folks to a really good wage, you're able to get a tax write-off for it, or some type of subsidy for it. So it's a lot of work to be done with it, but it's been introduced so that we can get to the nuts and bolts and get to a fair ground for everyone to be able to get something out of it. I would like to see that move forward, and anytime I get an opportunity to have the mic, I have an opportunity to talk to my friend down on the other end.
Very good. So, in closing, looking to the future, what do you guys see being the most significant thing that's going to be worked on either this summer or in the next session?
Well, one thing I'm watching very closely is our electric supply in this state. I'm very worried. I know all of y'all have read about these data centers coming, and they really use a lot of electricity and a lot of water. And we've got a real challenge in this state providing electricity. They bring a lot of benefits. We all use it, They want it, and, where to put it, and where to get the electricity and the water from. And I know our friends, Flint here, I see Neil Townsend on the Development Authority, and also chairman of the, Flint. It's a real balance, what we have, need to do here in this state. And I know, Houston County is right in the middle of it on, balancing, different, ag economy with manufacturing, with the military. You're in a real sweet spot here, and I'm just really, a lot of great things happening, but it takes water and it takes electricity, so we gotta watch that.
Very good. Anybody else?
I'd like to say something really quick. We all wanna hear from you all, and Representative Blackman talking about it, how a lot of our good ideas and good legislation comes from you all, and hearing from you all, and what your frustrations are, or ideas that you have. I do a post-session newsletter. I just got it produced. There are copies on your table. I wish you would grab one. It covers a lot of issues we didn't have time to get to today. But the main thing I want you to do is take it and shoot me an email, and I'll put you in my, if you want me to, I'll put you in my mailing list, my digital mailing list, because most of us do weekly updates from the Capitol when we're in session, and do some during the interim. So if you want to be connected and know what's going on under the Gold Dome, shoot me an email and I'll get you on the list. So please take one of those as you leave.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have.
No, that's just a great point. I mean, I thank you for making that. Absolutely. I see bankers here. We passed some significant legislation coming from them. General Everland and Colonel Reese, the retirement exemption is something that's high on your list for recruitment. Our schools, you wouldn't believe the stuff that starts potentially right here, in Houston County and Middle Georgia, that funnels up to the Gold Dome. So please don't be bashful about that. That's our job, is to listen to you and take, it's an honor really to take your issues up to the Gold Dome in Atlanta. So thank you, April. Thank you all for having us.
What Shaw just said, some of the bankers here, we passed the Trigger Leads bill, unfair deceptive trade practices when folks are getting mortgages. We passed that out. Last year it went through and it didn't make it anywhere, and this year we got it out. It passed unanimously out of the House and out of the Senate, and so that was something. I'm glad you just mentioned that, Shaw. That was grassroots. So all the ideas do not come from us; it comes from y'all. And please keep us updated whenever you see something or think of something that might help. Please let us know, because y'all are the real experts.
Thank you guys so much. Please join me in thanking our legislators. Just a couple of things of note. As Senator Walker says, there are session recaps on your table. If you would like, we have more. So if you need one and don't have one, we can get those and have them. We'll have them on the table as you exit. Please leave your name tags. Make sure you grab a pail. But in our event recap email that we will send to you guys, we will include information on signing up for y'all's newsletters. So we'll make sure that we have all of that from all of y'all and can send that out to everybody. As I mentioned, our small business outlook is critical. Please make sure, and it's critical that we get a number to our caterer by tomorrow. So it's critical that you register quickly. Many of you in the room registered yesterday for today. And so we can only anticipate so much of that, but we appreciate your help with that. I'm going to ask, I know many of you in the room want to see these folks and thank them personally, but we do have our leadership class here, so I'm going to ask our legislators if they will move down to the floor as we exit. And leadership class, Ronnie, if you and a couple of guys will push this table back and y'all come on the stage. Thank you for the table and all of our setup again to our friends at Home Furniture and Mattress in the corner, my friend Stephen Durham. Y'all support local. It's what keeps us going. We can't wait to see you guys next Tuesday. Leave your name tags, grab a bucket. We'll see you next time.